Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. Well, it is for me. It's much long past for you. Hopefully, it's not Palm Sunday by the point I get this out. Um, yeah, welcome back. These are the recaps I do. This is going to be rather short. I don't really have much to say because we were working through a um, Bible project video series about God's character. So I don't really have much to say. I kind of made a recap video of what we learned about a little bit before this, and I didn't think it was very good. And I'm a little disheveled. I had to kind of get myself together a little bit because I'm also kind of congested. I started sneezing a lot. So yeah. Anyways, the Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, rich in love, overflowing with faithfulness. We know it from some songs we sing at our church, for most of us, anyways, that have attended. Actually, all of us that have attended so far, I should say, have gone to Faith Christian Fellowship, and we sing some of these songs that are using words from the Bible. And so, I guess there's our first point here. First off, before I really get into what we learned, look at the songs that we sing on Sunday mornings. As a musician, it helps out in multiple contexts of worship. At the Lutheran church I attend, and at the non-denominational church I attend, which, if anyone's just randomly tuning in, that probably sounds really confusing, and it is. But man, I love both churches very much. Love them. But in both contexts, we have different styles of worship, right? But each glorifying in its own way, and both reciting the gospel. So be looking out for that. So the Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and rich in love, and overflowing with love and faithfulness. So, yeah, I'm very happy to share that the study went well, and that's what we learned about is the characteristics of God, in the Bible Project, and it went very well. I love seeing you guys. We had 4 in attendance today, not including me, of course. We had 4. We had a new person this week. We had the reoccurring cast, of course, as well. I'm very thankful for that, and some of the answers were really great, very helpful. I think a lot of opening up was happening as well, so I can't really share too much. I don't like to share too much of the personal things that happen on these recaps. But yeah, I'm not going to recap much. We learned about God's character. What was added, right? So what will you not get from the Bible Project series, which I suggest you go watch if you did not come this week, or if you are watching this video in the future and you want to get context for this lesson. Maybe you thought, oh, I remember this being really good. Go back into the characteristics of God in the Bible Project. But what we didn't have in there, right, that I came up with kind of to ask the group. Do you believe in God? We assume yes, because we're Christians and we go to Christian things and stuff, but that's not true for everyone, right? And that's a debate, of course, in itself, of people, whether they actually believe in God or not. Besides all that, we have doubts, right? We doubt the existence of God sometimes, or that he is who he is. And so we also, and listen, here's the thing. When I ask that question, do you believe in God? People say yes, right? And I ask, why do you believe in God? And we had a variety of answers: nature, logic, kind of just instinctive. We even said, because we were raised that way, right? Yeah, there's a plethora of reasons, right, why we might believe in God. And there's many arguments that are good for the existence of God. Now, then I asked, the question of, have you ever doubted the existence of God or doubted God? And of course, resounding yes. And what seems to happen through this discussion, and what I assume would happen anyways, is that really, I think what the heart of it is, of when we doubt God, and when we believe in God, a lot of it has to do with his character, right? I see a lot of atheists doubt the existence of God, not because of the logic per se, but because of what they presume is inconsistency from God, or because they doubt the character of God, that he is who he says he is, right? Because I feel as humans that we are drawn to the idea of a God by our very nature, but also by our very corrupt nature. We are drawn against it, right? So there's a conflict there, of course. Now, as someone that almost was atheist, I can say I've had many doubts, and at the heart of it really was my quarrels and qualms with God and his character, right? The most I've doubted is because of the character of God. I think that he's unjust or unloving or uncaring. That he's in fact not gracious or compassionate. That he is just an angry God. Right, but this is not true. He is... Well, what do we learn this week? He is gracious. He is compassionate. He is slow to anger. He is rich in love, overflowing with faithfulness. And so, what God shows us in his word is his characteristics. And hopefully I have the video out before this, explaining the week before this. It's St. Patrick's Day for me right now. We had a lesson last week that I still haven't made a recap for because it was more of a specific lesson I taught. So it would be if I was to really we didn't have any videos. I was just it came from me, so I have to write it down fully and get my notes together. That's going to be a bigger video. It's going to be less of a recap and more of an actual lesson. But a verse, but going back to the Song of Songs, which is something I've loved this past year. I've loved the Song of Songs, and John use this very romantic language about God. Song of Songs is obviously usually referred to as an allegory, right? We think of it as an allegory between God and his people, or Jesus and his bride, right? So there's a line at the beginning of chapter 2. I'm a rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys, says the beloved, right? Says us. And God, Jesus, responds, like a lily among thorns is my darling among the maidens. That's real. That's how God sees us as his bride. We spoke on too that in this that God cannot allow unrighteous people into his kingdom. He can't allow it. He is just, so he must punish sinners. And so God makes up this plan from the beginning, right? Has this plan to forgive sins fully, to make the unrighteous righteous in his eyes, right? Justly. And that is by the sacrifice of Jesus. By putting everything upon God's shoulders, he paves a way to have us perfect. And that is our hope, right? That is the hope of all the saints, that we will be perfected in love, and that we continue in that, in the fullness that we have already, but the fullness that is to come, right? And so that's been something that has been, the whole of chapter 2 of Song of Songs, the whole book, but particularly the beginning of chapter 2, I just love those verses. And so I will be dwelling on that throughout my life, but throughout this week and throughout this Bible study group. He loves you. And I think that's what all the characteristics of God really point to, is that he is perfect in all things and he's good in all things. All his characteristics work for the benefit of his creation. They do, despite us in our wickedness, despite our failings. Abraham failed, Jacob failed, Isaac failed, right? Did that a little out of order, but Noah. We talked about Noah tonight, of how he failed immediately. We talked about Adam and Eve failing, or David failing, or Solomon failing, or all these people in history, Moses even failing, right? Man, just constant screw-ups throughout history, and yet Jesus comes as God. Amen. And that's what actually Daniel, who locked in this time, inside reference for anyone that for some reason is not in has found these videos, God bless them, and is not in the study, actually locked in and gave a great answer to how can Jesus fulfill the law, right? Well, it's because, and this was the perfect answer, because he is God and man. See, that's the thing. That's why he can bridge this gap, right? That's why he can bridge this gap. It's not just because he's God. Well, it is, right? But he is the perfect man too, right? He is God incarnate, which is absurd. We don't even know how it truly works. And that's beautiful, right? We have ideas, right? We have understandings, we have our textbooks about these things, but they all fall short of the absurdity of what that claim is, to be fully man and fully God, right? And so he is the perfect man. So he can bridge that gap because he fulfills the law, because he's a man. And he's a man that does it. He fulfills the law as a man, as one of us, right? So he fulfills it. So by doing that, he can take the punishment. Why can he do that? Why? Because we're so corrupt. How can he do that? He's God. He's God incarnate, born of a virgin, born without sin. He doesn't know how to sin because he's God. That's who he is. And so he comes, he crushes the head of the serpent and is bitten for it. We talked about that prophecy as well, that from the beginning has that plan in place to love us according to his character. So be dwelling on these verses. Be singing the song that we know and love and sing. Guys, the Lord is good. It's hard to express that sometimes. Read the book of John. That's been incredibly helpful to me. The songs of the Song of Solomon. Read that. Picture it as you and your love. I'm a romantic. John specifically, God, through John's writings, I should say, has been teaching me how to love, truly. I've had a struggle with that, and because I am a romantic, I'm a very emotional person, and sometimes our love is misguided. It's turned into lust. It's turned into jealousy. It's turned into just unquenched emotion and fire, right? Passion that just burns and burns up a person. And man, do we need to learn how to love in this culture? Sorry, I don't mean to get on tangent. I said this is going to be quick. I really don't mean to be rambly. These recaps often do become that. I'm sorry. But, oh my goodness, guys, if you don't know the love of God, read the Gospels. Read the Gospels. Ask God to open your heart to it. Pray the Lord's Prayer. Pray the Shema. Pray the Magnificat. Pray these prayers that have been passed down to us and talk to God. Be open with God. Delight in his character. He will bring you to the truth. If you don't know it, if you don't feel it, you will. Just hold on. Hold on to Jesus. I tell you so much. I plead with you. If you're looking for a place to start with the Gospel of John, then work into the letters of John, and go into the Song of Songs. And we're about to go into the letters of John, so I'm very excited about that. But I plead, please go through that. I don't really have much more to say. Go watch the Bible Project series if you have not. It is very good. The discussion was very good. That's all I gotta say. So thank you. Hopefully I don't know how I'm gonna order these and put them out, but I should have the one out soon about the Magnificat, which I hope to. But anyways, peace be with you. Love you all, and see you next week.